Welcome to today's episode of the Top Producing Zone podcast. I'm your co host, Michael Jin.
And I'm Shane Carvalho.
Have you been struggling with your real estate production in terms of finding that consistent business? Are you just feeling like you're going from transaction to transaction and you're not able to build off of those? If you find yourself thinking about that, then you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for today's topic because our team has built out a production business that does at least 35 million in sales every single year. And most of that comes from repeat and referral clients. So today we're going to walk you through our number one tool and system for how we continue to maintain this business with our existing client base.
Well, that's a great intro, Michael. And what I'd like to kick it off with is that, before we even get into what we do and why it's so important, I think it's important first and foremost to ask yourself what kind of business you're building, because the thing is that we're all about building a long-term relationship with clients, while there are agents out there that are fine with just having a transactional business. So we're not judging what's better, but what I'm going to say is that this is only effective if you truly want to build long-standing relationships. If you're someone that's just out there, buying leads and trying to turn transactions, then this might not be something that interests you. Or maybe if you are one of those people, maybe this will kind of change your game. But I'm really excited about sharing this, and I really believe in it. It's what I do. And I think that, if someone's willing to be consistent and apply this to their business, there's no reason why they shouldn't have a consistent baseline of business every month, regardless of market.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a good point that I want to just add on to is that, I think depending on where you are, when you're listening to this podcast and what city you're in, that could also impact what your approach is to real estate. If you're in a big metropolitan city, chances are good that you're probably going to be, one transaction and done with many clients because there's just so many people there. But if you're living in a small town, Shane's over in, coastal Aptos. I'm in San Jose. I mean, it's big, but you kind of see some of the same people in your neighborhood. It definitely is going to pay off to build those long lasting relationships with the people that you work with, especially in small towns, because, everyone's going to talk to everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you can make big waves in a big pond too. However, it is super important. And I mean, I guess I'll kick it off with kind of how it started for me in my career and just how it's developed into what it is. I mean, obviously as a new agent, I've been in the business now for over 20 years. As a new agent, you're brand new. Hey, I'm a realtor, you let your family and friends and your circle know. And that's kind of how it kicked off. But, as a brand new agent, you really, a lot of times are kind of overwhelmed at okay, what direction do I go? And admittedly, I kind of fell into this sphere by accident. But what allowed it to develop is that I truly cared about what's best for every client. I truly cared about, building a relationship and being able to take care of them. And at the time at where I was at, early 20s, a lot of my good friends were in the same generation. They were looking to buy their first homes and basically build their lives. And so it's I kind of fell into helping a lot of first time home buyers. We were in a distressed market. There were other clients that were losing their homes. I had a mortgage background, so I became really proficient in helping with short sales. So I kind of fell into what the market was and what the demographic was. But then basically the root of what created the success or the relationships or where it kind of took my business was that once I helped my friends, family, people that I knew, they started telling other people about it. And honestly, this whole thing about what we're talking about today and nurturing our database and taking care of our clients going forward, I naturally did it. I naturally wanted to be good to all my clients, but I really didn't go back and make it a structure in my business till about 6 years ago. I was just so busy that it was hard. I would communicate with them and check in with people periodically, but I didn't have a consistent way or a consistent program. And that's been a huge game changer. And I want to share this today because I want people, especially newer agents, to launch this now because it can change your trajectory.
So let's talk a little bit about that structure, because I know when you first introduced it to me, it was mind blowing because it was a very just simple tool that you use, but it kind of forms the backbone of all the follow up, all the processes, all the structure that you have put in place. And of course, that tool that I'm talking about is the All About You form that we send to all of our clients. So maybe talk a little bit about how did that come about?
So the All About You form has been a game changer. As a successful agent, you really need to have coaching, or you really just, if you want to be the complete agent, you need to take from those that have been successful. You need to learn different techniques and strategies. And I did do some coaching with the core for a while, and that's one of the key things that I picked up. What I loved about the core was that they were really big on building the kind of business that I was already living, but I got a lot of tips to improve that. One of them was the All About You form. And basically, what this is a questionnaire that asks your new clients, like, hey, when's your birthday? Are you married? When's your anniversary? What's your favorite place to get coffee? Do you have a favorite restaurant? What are your pets? Do you have pets names, kids, etc. So it's a form that we send as a link, as a survey, and your clients pretty much just fill it out. And now all of a sudden in your database, instead of just having, Joe and Mary Smith, and oh, in the notes, we actually sold them a house, 2 years ago. Now you pretty much have everything about them on a more intimate level. Typically, we build good relationships with our clients when we work with them anyway, but now it's you're more in tune. And what we do is we take this form and we utilize it for their gifting. And one of the things we do every year is like the birthday gifting program. Every year on their birthday, they'll receive a little gift from us. And anyway, Michael, I don't want to get too deep in that. I'm not sure we want to go with that, but that's, one of the initial purposes of the All About You was to get them in the birthday gifting program, and also know when we do gift them what they like or what their interests are.
Well, I think the one thing I wanted to hit on that was why it was super cool for me the first time I saw it, and why I've started to use it is because, I mean, one, it's just a very simple tool, right? We set it up in Google Forms. You set it up as a survey. It walks them through all the information they need to fill out. But I think it's especially important, like, as whether you're an existing agent looking to maintain your business or a new agent looking to start out, especially in this day and age, like, people's attention spans are like incredibly short, right? And so it's hard to stay top of mind, right? You think about what a young professional or a family goes through, like everything every day that competes, like the things that compete to stay on top of their mind, right? They're not going to be thinking about their real estate agent, right? Until the time comes, and even then, like, who knows, like somebody else might have reached out to them already. But the cool thing about this All About You form, like you said, you got them initially into the birthday gifting program, right? So then at least they're hearing from you once a year. So you're maintaining that touch point with them. You're developing that relationship with them, and you're staying top of mind with them as best as you can as a real estate agent. So that's kind of what was just mind blowing for me.
Yeah, no, and when I first, I guess for me, like, just from like coaching, watching the gurus, just, everything that's out there, nothing really ever, like, there was very little that stuck with me. But what has stuck with me is all these different types of things that have to do with nurturing your sphere. And with all the different things I listen to every day, um, I just, what stuck with me over the last few years has been this. And so I've taken every possible angle, every possible way to improve how I focus and help my sphere. And I've made that my number one priority. Everybody out there has their specialty, but I've taken this and I've tried to utilize it to, grow my business and serve my clients better. So it's not necessarily a selfish thing, but it's something that, helps me be better engaged and just be there for them. Because I mean, throughout the process, sometimes you get a call like, hey, I need a contractor to remodel my bathroom, or hey, I'm having this problem, or hey, do you know anybody where I could order this furniture? It's like you now have that open line of communication where they're comfortable reaching out to you. Whereas, how sometimes if you're bad about staying in touch, if you haven't talked to your client in 3 years, you're kind of embarrassed to pick up the phone and be like, hey, remember me? And so this keeps an open line of communication both ways, because what you don't think about is your clients could feel embarrassed as well. I mean, some clients are ultimately grateful that you helped them achieve the dream of home ownership, but then they can be on the other side of that 3 years later. Oh my God, I haven't even kept in touch, and he helped me so much. And So it's, I mean, that's something that's big. The other thing too is that, in developing this, and developing the follow up, it's created a platform for doing like client parties, maybe a couple times a year. Obviously during COVID, there was a little less of that, parties, right? But I've always been a big fan of doing holiday stuff, giveaways, summer things, even maybe like a happy hour. And so, having this list and kind of knowing, your audience and where they live and essentially what their interests are, if they have kids or not, it helps you in your planning activities. If it's going to be like, oh, it's a lot of my families, then maybe it's a family activity where you're looking out for the kids and everything, right? Just depending on what your demographics are. So it really helps you with planning and being able to take it a step deeper. Whereas if you don't know much about your clients, like, I mean, here's an odd one. Like, so that your client doesn't drink alcohol, but you're inviting them out for a night on the town. You guys are going to go
Whoops.
bar hopping. It's probably not a smart thing, right? Or you have a client that for religious purposes does not eat meat. I mean, don't be sending them like the steak package for Christmas. It's like it really helps because it's impossible, especially as your business gets huge. It's impossible to know your database off the top of your head to really fully serve them, to truly serve them. So anyway, I don't know, Michael, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, I think it's super true. And like, I think with our clients, like our approach is always to kind of develop that relationship with them and like really treat them as family. And ultimately, a lot of these clients do become family, right? But just even from a pure like business perspective, it's like, what does this form help with? It helps you better understand. Like in the corporate world, we have this term called KYC, which is called know your customer, right? And this form really is the best way to help you do that, because then what can you do? You know their interests, you know their dislikes, you know not to give them, alcohol if they don't drink, if they don't drink. But then it really allows you then to customize and tailor your messaging to your clients, right? Which in this day and age, like, we're just bombarded with so much content, with so much stuff. Like, I'm going to skip over the stuff that has no relationship to anything that I'm interested in, right? But as an agent, even like, if I know that you like wine and I can send you something, like that creates that connection right off the bat, because it's like, hey, like, I feel like people are really impressed by this, because sometimes they'll share things and I think they don't necessarily expect that the person on the receiving end is going to remember all this stuff, right? But
Right,
even with this all about you form, like, it could help with that, because somebody
right,
might share something and then like a month or two later, you're like, oh, hey, it's your birthday. I remember it was your birthday. And then here's a gift, and be like, oh, hey, like, I didn't think I made that big of an impression on Michael or on Shane, but like, they still remembered. And that's super important, because then that in my head creates that connection of, oh, hey, Shane is somebody now that like, he listens to what I say, he remembers, right? So that means I've built a little bit of trust with him now, right? So that means like, I know he's looking out for my best interests.
yeah, no, that's a good point. The other thing too is that, like, when you're talking about being bombarded with stuff, it's like you receive a lot of blasts even from people you've done business before with, that just like one size fits all. It's like, oh yeah, you can buy your first house now, and it's like you're saying that to a client that already bought. Or hey, you can refinance, and it's like your first time buyer list that's still looking or whatever. It's like really knowing your customer. And I love that. I had never heard that term before, KYC. But KYC is part of that, building that relationship where they know, and like, oh yeah, he cares, he knows, he understands. Because it's like, I mean, this is one thing that kind of scared me about AI at first with one of our CRMs. Last year I had a client whose house had burned down, and my stupid system is sending them a message to sell their house. Like, that's not KYC. That
Yeah.
was I was like sick to my stomach when I saw that happen. I was like, oh my God, my client's stressed out because they just lost their house in the fire. My stupid CRM is messaging them, telling them, hey, let's sell your house. Like, I mean, you couldn't send a worse message out. So this is why, like, the one size fits all or complete automation and everything, that's not my business. I mean, that's not my business model for, building and maintaining your sphere. You got to just take the time and pick up the phone. Like that's where I'm at. I'm not saying that there isn't room in your business for using, because I think AI is a big thing and it's going to change the game for us in many ways. But this is one area that I am not a big fan of, like, delegating it. Like, if these are, because then you're fake, right? Like these are real relationships. Like I value these people, and this is a guide to really know them well and just keep everything in order in my head because my memory's gotten worse as I've gotten older. So anyway, I yeah, I mean, I think that that's another crucial piece that I didn't even thought to mention today, but it's important.
Yeah, I mean, so the other thing, let's talk a little bit about like we have the all about you form, and I just want to let our listeners know, like Shane and I are all about helping you guys out right now in your production business, right? So if the all about you form is something that you're really interested in, like please reach out to one of us on social media or just send us an email, send us a text, whatever it is, and we're happy to share that with you, so that way you're not having to build it from scratch. Um, and so with the all about you form, like, so that's kind of the tool. You get the information. So let's talk a little bit now about like what other structures and like processes have you kind of built into your organization to kind of really help support, maintaining these relationships? Like, what do you do after you have all the information?
Well, so first of all, to provide this level of customer service, especially being a more high production agent, you really need an army. It's not just you. So I have a wonderful, her title is logistics manager, but I have a wonderful assistant who, spearheads our gifting campaign, planning our client events and everything. And so, I'll handwrite these cards, and I'll kind of go over them with her each week, go over what clients have birthdays, anniversaries, and we work together on this. But I mean, I couldn't do it without her. I mean, there is a way to automate the gifting, and there's companies out there that you could just set up and they'll just send stuff out. But once again, I like to put a personal touch on it, so we still manually send them out. Um, I mean, if you want to go, we'll go a layer deeper really quick here, Michael. I don't want
Yeah.
to segue too far off the topic, but along the lines of building these relationships with our past clients, staying engaged, staying in touch, staying informed, making sure they have what they need, always being their go-to person for everything related to house. The other part that's really important to me, like you mentioned earlier, being in a small community, hey, I'm a small business person. I want to help other small businesses. So taking a layer deeper was actually creating relationships with local small businesses to take part in the gifting program. And that's been a game changer because, okay, like listen to this. So no offense, big business out there, big companies. You want to go buy some big, big companies gift cards and hand them out. Then there's no issue. I'm not being weird about that. Like everybody deserves to make a living. My whole point though is if I can literally do something good for my client while helping a local business at the same time
Mhm.
and everybody wins, like why not? And so, just to give you an example, like local coffee shop, good friends with the owner, was like, hey, here's my plan. I'm going to put my real estate business credit card on file with you. We're going to create these co-branded gift cards. And basically, whenever, we gift our clients on a birthday, whatever it is, if they come in with this coupon, go ahead and charge the credit card for, what we're giving them. And that way you're making money. We're giving your business exposure, turning them on to a new local business. They may be even new in the neighborhood. So it's like you just picked up a new client. And at the same time, as an agent, we run expensive businesses, and if you have to go out there and just buy tons of gift cards up front, that's a huge investment.
It is.
Some people are not good about using them. I mean, the other side of this is that you have now been able to gift clients these gift cards and you don't get charged till they're used. Think about like the intention of the gift is there 100%. Like, I want to gift this, I want them to use it, like without a doubt. But from the business side of things, think about what you just did. You can gift away all year long, and when they use them is when you get charged. I'm bad about using mine in a timely manner. I mean, I rack up. I probably have $2,000 in gift cards in a folder in my car right now, and I'll totally forget about them until after. Oh yeah, I'm going to use this next week, and then it's like, oh, you go again. Oh, I had a gift card. So it's that's just a huge win for the small businesses and for your relationship. It's also led to referrals. Like this coffee shop, for instance, they've referred me business back because they think about me. It's like, oh my god, you know what? We have an agent that, so I wanted to mention that too, Michael, because I mean, that's like, it's amazing how much you can build on this.
No, it absolutely is. I think it's like, again, it's about building that relationship. And here, instead of building that relationship with clients, you're building relationships with your local businesses, and everyone's kind of helping out and supporting each other. So that's really cool. Um, and I think the one thing is like, so I like how like what about for new agents, right? Who may not necessarily, and I like what you do with this, right? Because you give them a gift card, and you really only pay when they go and redeem the gift card, right? But as like new agents, like, that may not have, as much cash flow, or so to speak, right? How would you recommend they go about it? Would you recommend they do the same thing, or do you think they should do something differently?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like if you're a new agent and you're building your business, I mean, I have, 1,000 plus clients in my database. I mean, realistically, I probably have over 5,000, but who I nurture is probably somewhere in the 1,000 to 1,200 range. So, I mean, but I've built my business to that level, and I produce, I sell 30, 40 million a year still myself. So it's essentially relative to what you're doing. So I think that for the gifting purpose, even if it's just $10 or $20, whatever, I think it's affordable for an agent right off the bat, especially with the fact that you don't get charged until it's used. So if you're a newer agent and you don't have as many clients, then you might only have 10 people in your database. So, 10 times a year, $20, a couple $100 in a year, I think that's affordable. I think where I would, because I mean, one thing we didn't talk about, but it's not quite in this exact thing. But if you take that same coffee shop and you do the, hey, I'm buying coffee for 2 hours today for anybody that comes in, it's that circumstance as a new agent that maybe doesn't have a lot of capital where you want to tell the coffee shop owner, hey, you know what, I want to do this event today and I want to buy everybody coffee for the next couple hours, but I'm capped out at like 250 or whatever it is. So I think for situations like that, you need to cap it. But from a gift giving perspective, I still think this is the most effective way to do it. And you can start small. Like you don't have to spend a fortune. Like literally, it's the thought that counts. Like literally, like that's, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I was going to say, so like, even if you're an agent, you want to send like your client a card, right? Handwrite the card. Like, take the
Right.
time to handwrite a card. Don't type it up. Don't go through these like online card like development, like these online card printing shops, right? Take the time to customize and do it yourself.
Yeah, those printed cards go straight to the trash. But I still have handwritten cards from clients for my birthday or get well cards when I was sick or things like that. I save them. Like I feel like that's a message I need to hold on to. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit of a pack rat sometimes, but I'm just saying like if it's personal like that, if it's just some commercialized holiday card, it's like, oh well, I'm glad I'm on their list, but like here, like you know what I mean?
I think it goes back to, I don't necessarily think it's because you're a pack rat. I think it goes back to like it's meaningful, right? It's like, again, in this like it's funny, like I reflect on this a lot of times. It's really ironic how in a digital age where everything's on social media, everything's about short form content, that sometimes like the old school styles work better these days, because people, I think, they're not expecting
Old
it,
school.
right?
Old
Yeah.
school.
Well, it's there's something to be said about like, even like in like social media right now, like with Instagram and whatnot. Like if you look at reels, you see people like trending towards reels that aren't just like from beginning to end. They throw in stuff that kind of interrupts what you're paying attention to, right? Because it clicks something in your brain, like latches onto that, and it makes you like focus a little bit better. And I think this is the same thing. It's like when you send somebody a handwritten card these days, it's almost like, wait, I'm so used to getting, like I get like a ton of Christmas cards every Christmas. Like people just go like Shutterstock and print, which is great. I mean, I'm not like,
Well, it's
I'm not
nice to
saying I
keep
don't
up with,
appreciate it.
yeah, like
It's nice to
distant
keep up,
family
but
members, updated family picture of the kids. Like,
yeah, but like everybody does that nowadays, right? But to
right,
like, not a lot of people handwrite like a custom
right,
message to you, right?
right.
So when you get a custom written message, my brain's almost like, wait a second, what's going on? I don't know how to process this, because it's not a habit anymore for me to be able to receive a custom handwritten like card. And so it makes me think and focus.
Well, not only that, and it's gotten really sad talking about holidays, like knowing your audience, like now because it's so political to say like Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or whatever. It's like if you can't say them all in one card, then it's like the devil. So it's like you get this generic like Happy Holidays. It's like okay, like you know you just said that to like 50 other people. I don't feel special, you know, and it's like so yeah, the personal touch. Like I know he's a Merry Christmas guy. I know she's a Happy Hanukkah girl. Like that's personal, handwritten. That's personal. See, that's me. That's old school. That's me. All this vanilla. It's, I mean, it's like I don't know. I guess it's nice to try and stay in front of people or let them know you're on their mailing list, but it doesn't have the same impact.
And I think I want to close this discussion out on that is like to go back to what you were saying earlier about, all these AI tools and chat GPT, like there's no doubt like this stuff like chat GPT, I use it, it's a game changer, right? But even then, like anytime I write something with chat GPT, I use it as a structure and as a framework. Like please, 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 if you're out there listening, like don't use it to do all your work, because I'm a techie guy. I'll tell you right now, like it's not at that level where it'll be able to customize it to the degree that you need it to. It'll give you the framework, it'll give you the structure, right? But there's something powerful about then you taking what ChatGPT produces for you and modifying a little bit to match your style and what people are accustomed to hearing from you.
Right. Right. And I just well, and then on that note, like I love ChatGPT, but I mean, I use it more for descriptions and structure of for speaking and different things. But I still like think out the person communication. Like I'm not ready to substitute. I've always been a good writer and really been able to connect with my writing or who I'm sending it to. And I've never even tried like, using AI for that because it's very personal for me when
Yeah.
it comes to that. So you better not be sending me my Christmas cards using that. I'll be very disappointed.
No, I will. After this podcast, there's no way I cannot do anything else but handwrite a card for you. That's all I'm going to do.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
well, look,
so as we
guys,
kind of, yeah.
oh, go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
No, no, I was going to say, just like as we close out, is there anything else like just related to repeat and referral clients that you kind of want to share with our audience that you've learned throughout the years?
The one thing we didn't touch on is that, when you do get those referrals, send them a little gift card, a little coffee, like, hey, thanks for the referral. Send a little something. Just acknowledge them that you really appreciate that they actually went out of their way to connect you with somebody. I mean, I get referrals all the time. And that's something that at first, it wasn't even because I didn't want to, it's just you're busy. And it's like, oh, yeah, thanks for the referral or whatever. But it's like, literally take the time to send them something. That is so much more powerful to actually take the time, write a little card, send a little gift card, say, you know what? Thank you so much for thinking about me. That's part of it. That's part of it. And we could spend all day on this, but no, I think we've kind of given kind of the overview. Like Michael mentioned, we're happy to share everything we have. I have put this up on my Instagram bio. So, you can access it there, or you can just reach out to us and we can get it to you. And Michael, I think you have a video too on showing people how to.
I do have a video. It's yeah, just be prepared for a very detailed and thorough walkthrough because that's the engineer that I am. So if you're looking for fun, fast content, that's not what this is. But what it is if you check out my YouTube channel, I do a beginning to end, step by step walkthrough of how to create this form yourself in Google Forms.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Great topic. And yeah, appreciate
Yeah,
you.
we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for listening in.